Hello, everybody, and welcome to our discussion of Christopher Nolan's latest movie, Tenet, and also Confused Matthew's supremely bad No Country for Old Men review. Joining me today, at least for the initial Tenet discussion, is Mr.
We live in a twilight world.
What?
We live in a twilight world.
No Friends at Dusk.
Close enough.
Yeah, close enough. And we have another guest, first timer on the show. Please welcome. Grant Paulsen, welcome.
Hello there.
This is going to be an interesting one. It's like, this is one of the weirdest films I've ever watched in my life. At least,
Yeah, it's definitely one that you will not pick up on everything on first watch.
Yeah. And yes, I'm sorry I am late. I had some trouble with the steak I was cooking. I needed to cook it immediately. And since I accidentally put some coconut oil on it, so I'm just like, it's not bad. But so, Tenet. From a brief, just 1 second, 5-minute pitch, how would you describe Tenet to the audience who has not seen it yet? I would describe it as a spy movie with the gimmick of inverted time sequencing, where they're trying to prevent a world war where people are using reverse time travel as a way of winning this weird war with a Russian arms dealer who wants to end the world along with himself.
Yeah, that's pretty much the size of it. I think that it's a potential world war that isn't exactly explained.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like they wanted a sequel, but aren't going to get it.
It would be an interesting sequel. It would be interesting. It didn't do well its initial weekend. It's since gotten it's picked up a bit. It made 50 million its first weekend, and now it's made 200 million by this point. So,
has it really? 200 million?
It's made 200 million so far, and its budget was 200 million.
Oof.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Reverse. Okay, how do I describe the inverted time thing in this movie? So,
rewind.
Yeah, it kind of is like Rewind, where you have a dude. I guess the concept might be you kind of think about, I guess how to describe it, where there are certain people that are forward in time, and then there are people that have gone backward in time. So you start off at one thing, you go into this thing, you go out the other end of it, and and it's usually created in almost a polarity thing, where it's like same device on one side and another device on the other that's kind of in the past or is in the reverse zone. I can't. Oh, how do I describe it? It's just like it's weird to describe this movie if you haven't seen it.
It's like if you go through that device that's in the movie, then in your perspective, you're moving forward just like normal, but everything around you is going backwards. And then if you go back through it again, then you're back to normal, I guess.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Because, like, the beginning, they fight the two bodyguards. Are we allowed to do spoilers?
Let's just say full spoilers because you can't talk about this movie without spoiling it in any detail.
Okay. So, the guys who they fought in the art museum turned out to be themselves, like, in the future. So,
or at least him in the future that has gone back in time to help the lady so that she can go through it and be fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not really time travel or even time dilation. It's just changing the vector of time so that it goes backwards.
Pretty much.
It's still going at the same speed, it's just the other way.
Yeah.
And it's weird because, like, from the protagonist's point of view, like, when they were fighting later on, he was moving forward and then his past self was moving backwards. But before that, when they were in the art museum, it was like the other way around.
Yeah. And then, like, but I think, like, it made, like, the twist at the end where the key, where Robert Pattinson pulls the, what is it? Pulls
That
the
giant barbell.
Well, I was thinking that he pulls off the mask and he sees, oh, and then just the guy vanishes. I was thinking, like, oh, so the mask gets pulled up, they vanish, but then it turns out, oh no, it's protagonist.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
I'm
the-
not sure how
Okay.
that whole "I can't breathe past air" works.
I think that because, like, everything is inverted, the air is also inverted. So rather than breathing the inverted air, you would suffocate on it.
Yeah, like, wouldn't, if time around you is reversed, wouldn't, like, literally everything in the natural environment be reversed too? So how could you, like, live?
I imagine there would be other effects than that, like you can't eat. Obviously, if you can't interact with the world. Then again, if you take it to its extreme, then you couldn't touch anything, and then you wonder what's the point. You just might as well go back. You might as well just go through the time reverser, come out, twiddle your thumbs for 2 days, and then go back through it. And hey, you're back 2 days in the past. It's a very tedious way of traveling through time, but it's functional.
Mm-hmm. And it technically isn't time travel, right? It's just like reversing the flow of time.
It's like it almost felt kind of Final Crisis-y, especially with those time bullets. It's like a bullet that can be fired backwards in time. That's basically how you kill a new god, kinda.
I did think that one thing about the movie was really good in terms of, like, a very subtle visual setups and payoffs, where at least in like the car chase, because of what's going to happen in the future, their past, the car, like one of the windshield, one of the what is it, the rear view mirrors on the sides is broken from the beginning of the car chase, and then abruptly when the car streams past them in reverse, they are like the damage instantly repairs itself.
Yeah, but it also telegraphs it massively. So it's like they walk into a room, there's a dismantled gun and a few bullet holes in the wall, and I'm going, gee, I wonder what's going to happen here.
Yeah. I would agree.
So would the car chase on the highway, does that really make sense? Because the cars are going in reverse and they're like, it's like repairing itself.
Well, if the car wasn't inverted, then you have a problem.
Well, wasn't that machine the only way to like invert someone?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, going through the machine makes things inverted. But if you have a inverted person driving a normal car, that's gonna run into some problems because isn't the car's engine going to like go backwards from their perspective and therefore not work right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, how do you invert a car?
You can invert a car, just drive it into that one thing and make it come out the other side, or have a smart car or something. I don't know.
Well, how would a car fit through that thing?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions that we have, to say the least.
And I feel like the movie either should have answered those questions or just not have been like as complicated as it was.
Yeah, it's exceptionally like. I think it's like it's like a gear. I think like Tenet is like a set of like several gears. You got the character gears, you have the plot gears, and then you have and then you have like the time travel gear. The issue with Tenet is that in terms of like the mechanics, some things aren't explained. So there's a few nicks in the gear of the time travel. The plot is very expertly crafted in terms of there are a lot of like telegraphed events that are very subtly visually foreshadowed if you're looking carefully. But then the issue is some of the ways that it gets there doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, and they really overstuffed the movie with way too much exposition.
Yeah, I think the part of it was like there was no intention for sequels with this movie, or at least like I think there wasn't.
So, I don't think there is, no.
Yes, Christopher Nolan kind of doesn't really do sequels other than like the Batman movies.
And we can all see how those worked out.
Yeah.
I still think Dark Knight Rises is his worst movie.
I would have to concur.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dark Knight Rises is far worse constructed than this.
Yeah, it's like the problem Nolan's always had. I even had this problem in Dark Knight, is that Nolan thinks he's way smarter than he actually is. He thinks he's got these really brilliant ideas when, in fact, there's a reason people don't put onions in pumpkin pie.
That's kind of what it felt like to me. Like he was trying so hard to.
It's like gotta write with inside this concept. It's really cool concept of backwards time, and I have to implement the story in all these ways. And no one at any point said, "No, Chris, no, you don't. You don't have to do this."
Yeah, apparently he's been working on the script for this for 6 years.
Really?
Yeah, or
6 years.
Yeah, at least like Critical Drinker said that like it's taken him 6 years to try and make this movie. Which I would actually like say like, so, Interstellar was his last movie to come out, and that was in 2015. So.
Wasn't Dunkirk his last movie to come out before Tenet?
Was what? Interstellar? I thought that was Interstellar.
Dunkirk came out in 2017.
Dunkirk was Nolan?
Yeah.
It doesn't really feel like Nolan.
Yeah, it's very different. I honestly think Dunkirk is probably his best movie since Inception. I actually thought that was a pretty refreshing movie for him because it was way better than all his other movies from like 2010 onwards.
Okay, so Aging Yokai Zero had a question. An inverted person, is that some sort of new type of gender or something? I'm getting confused. Okay, so so inverted person, so there are inverted objects where, say, you are a. How do I explain? Okay, so you have, say, a person trying to get to either an inversion device or in an inverted like container thing that allows you to like work with time. And what you do is the person is going through the events that have happened, and then for them, time is moving forward, but for the people on the other side, time is moving backward for you. So, like, somebody coming out of one of the inverted machines will come at someone, and then they will, and there are bullet holes in the thing. So when they shoot, the bullet to the person on the other side is going back into the bullet. It's
man. Just imagine taking an inverted crap.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
I didn't even think about that. Holy shit.
That's terrible. Yeah. It's a strange movie to talk about. I guess like let me pull up the Wikipedia like synopsis and maybe we can kind of give some context. So like it starts off with Denzel Washington and John David Washington, who was a very charismatic guy. Most of the like the charisma of his character comes from him, not the script.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, unnamed CIA agent, the protagonist, participates in an undercover operation in a Kiev opera house. He's aided by a masked soldier with a distinctive trinket who seems to unfire a bullet through a hostile gunman, who I imagine is Mr. Robert Pattinson, but that will be revealed later. Oh yeah, since distinctive trinket. Yeah, since that same trinket shows up in the end. So after rescuing an exposed site and seizing a strange artifact, the protagonist is captured by Russian mercenaries. He endures torture, which is getting his teeth pulled out, which is like, ouch. But he gets a cyanide pill. Unfortunately, he later learns that the cyanide film was fake, as in it's a knockout pill that puts you in a medically induced coma.
Remember that for later.
Yeah. And like they were able to reconstruct his mouth after he got his teeth pulled out. It was like prove that he was a pretty hard bugger. Like, yeah, and apparently like the artifact was lost. So now he's employed by a secret organization called Tenet, which is supposed to keep the human race alive by preventing World War III with time travel as the nukes. And apparently he meets a lady named Barbara. Oh, I did not know that was his name. I just thought, oh, that's Fleur Delacour from the Harry Potter movies. And apparently, like, there's inverted entropy. She's studying bullets with inverted entropy that allows them to move backwards through time. Apparently, they're manufactured in the future, and there exists a weapon that can wipe out the past. The protagonist, why didn't they just give him a name? Why didn't they just give him a name?
I don't know.
You might as well just call him Washington.
Yeah, I'll just say Washington.
Do you think he was good at the movie, by the way?
I think that he was good with what he was given.
Yeah, I agree.
Since he himself is very charismatic and is able to do he's able to give a lot of spunk and personality, at least like a little bit of like sass. But the thing is, like, the script doesn't allow him to show his charm. He's definitely like incredible in the fights. Like, I'm like, wow, that is some impressive fighting.
Yeah, the fight choreography was a huge step up for Nolan films. Because he hasn't done too well with that in the past.
Yeah.
But John David Washington's a really good actor. Like, I don't know if you've seen it, but I thought he was really good in Black Klansman.
Yeah, I have to say, like, I need to see that. But apparently he traces the bullet cartridge to a Mumbai-based arms dealer named Priya Singh. However, and he's assisted by a local contact named Neil, played by Robert Pattinson, who's the best character who I would say is like the best, both most interesting and most likable character in the film.
Yeah, probably. I'd agree with that. Yeah.
I guess by process of elimination, because this was not a character movie.
No, it's very much like I think that no one kind of like has a consistent problem with characters. Like, a lot of them are kind of just philosophical guys.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just like the trappings of a spy movie, because it being a spy movie, naturally 90% of the dialogue is like passive-aggressive euphemisms.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird because I know that Nolan is capable of like good character work, because I think Memento, The Prestige, and The Dark Knight all have good character writing.
Yeah, but it's like here the characters really get the steam taken out of them because the time travel just monopolizes the writing.
Yeah, and I'm confused why he's decided to, just in like the past decade, he just doesn't seem to care about writing characters anymore, and I don't know why.
Yeah, it's like he wants these big, fancy set piece kinds of things like Interstellar and Memento and crap, the dream one, Inception.
Yeah, but
It's like
Memento
he thinks that's his calling as a director. I'm not sure if he's wrong, though.
Memento actually has like it has the high concept with, you know, similar to like Tenet and Inception, but I think Memento is a really exceptional character study at the same time.
Yeah, but that's sort of what Tenet should have been.
Yeah, probably. I agree with that.
Yeah, the ending especially is just kind of weird, and we'll get to the ending once I finish like reading out the synopsis. But it's really, really forced. At least like post the climax, it's like wrap this up, and there are things that kind of don't work about it, and it's kind of annoying. Okay.
What do you guys think of the antagonist?
I was impressed by Kenneth Branagh's Russian accent. Like that I was like, I knew that, like I'm used to Kenneth Branagh having his normal very posh British accent, or maybe even a Southern accent if he's in Wild Wild West. But oh, we got another guy coming in.
It's weird because I've heard mixed things about his performance. Like, I've heard some people say his Russian accent was good, and some said it was not accurate, so I'm not sure.
Well, let me bring in my guest and we'll continue.
Doing.
Yeah, so this is the same guy that made Inception. This explains everything.
Yeah.
Because I was like, man, this is starting to sound as complicated as Inception.
When it's really not. Well, complicated is the right word. Deep is not. It's the plot is very simple once you know what's going on, but it's like it complicates things a lot.
Yeah, and Inception has like some questions when you exit the movie, but I think for the most part the script covers a lot of stuff.
Yeah, like the questions are kind of designed to be answered if you just think about it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
The questions basically are answered. There's nothing you're going to walk out of this movie wondering what was what. This is not Joker.
Okay.
It's more just like I was like when I saw the scene where so basically he is trying to go back through a moment in time where like he was originally and he fights his way through, and it turns out it kind of reverses. So when you first see it, you see a guy coming out of the film, out of this spinny object, almost like a centrifuge, and he comes out and he starts fighting Washington. and he seems to be going in reverse. And then he gets out, gets away, and then like at the end of the second act, he comes in right as he was leaving. So in terms of time, he is going backwards to the fight he fought us back. If that makes any sense. So, Wise Wolf, John D. Washington's in the movie is literally protagonist. That's what he's credited as. He doesn't have a name.
I imagine him and Neptune getting into a fight over who's the protagonist.
Yeah. I think there's like just a lot of weirdness happening. Let me keep reading through this synopsis. Frontier, who turns out to be a member of Tenet. Her cartridges were purchased and inverted by Andrei Sator.
Okay, Dunn, your mic is getting really choppy.
Yeah, he's like way out there.
Oh shoot, sorry. Does this sound better? Let me turn around.
Yeah.
Okay. He finds out that Priya is a member of Tenet, and that her cartridges were purchased and inverted by Andrei Sator, a Russian oligarch originating from Salsk 12, a former Soviet closed city, and apparently he can communicate with the future. Washington approaches Sator's estranged wife, Pat, an art appraiser who unknowingly sold Sator a forged Goya painting. She reveals that Sator uses the paint drawing to get her under control. I actually think that that's the interesting thing with the movie, where you see this moment in time, and this is very much a everything that has been will have happened, will have and will have has happened.
Except not really.
Yeah, except not really. Yeah, there are certain like weird changes, like at the end where like it shows that he is thrown off of the boat. It's different than it's ever so slightly different, since it's different since he apparently threw himself off the boat, but then she like sees him throw himself off when she comes back or whatever. I'm not or as she was leaving. It's strange. Okay. So to enlist Kat's help, he plans to steal a drawing from Freeport, a facility within Oslo Airport. Inside the Freeport, they find a machine, also later referred to as the turnstile, in which two masked men approach. The inverted one attacks Washington, while Neil chases after the other one. Neil prevents Washington from killing the inverted man, adding that he took care of the other one. The reason for this is revealed later, because it's actually Washington who has inverted himself trying to get through the turnstile and get through the other end. And it's revealed when he pulls off the mask. Initially, like Neil pulls off the mask, and then the guy vanishes, like around the corner. But then when you see it later, it turns out, oh, it was Washington who was inverted, who was on that side, and just ran through.
Yes.
It's this movie kind of defies conventional analysis in a lot of ways. I'd be interested to kind of just do a commentary on this movie when it comes out on like streaming platforms. Since I know that Inception is now on Netflix, maybe this will go to Netflix as well.
People might actually watch it more if they actually release it on VOD.
Yeah, but supposedly Nolan hates that stuff. He fought to get it in theaters, and I think that may have been what, at least financially, kicked this movie in the balls.
Yeah, because a lot of people still don't want to go to the theater.
Yeah, I had the theater I went to. The first one was completely dead and broken down because there wasn't enough maintenance staff at the AMC, and they couldn't get it working. So they just kicked me ahead to a later showing at a different room, and I got a free ticket for Dune, I guess.
Nice. Well, that works out. It really kind of got a kind of terrible experience, but
Yeah, these movie theaters are still reeling from the grind shot that is the lockdowns. They're still kind of there.
yeah. So, Priya explains. So later on, Priya explains that the turnstiles developed in the future and can invert the entropy of objects and people, and the two masked men were the same person. So kind of setting it up for later. And like this movie does really good setup and payoff. I think that this is I think that you could like teach a class on like setup and payoff using this movie.
Setup and payoff is not as hard as people think it is.
Well, these days, tell that to Rise of Skywalker and The Last Jedi and most mainstream movies out there.
What were like some parts that you noticed? Because on my first viewing, I didn't really notice any setup or payoff, really.
I think a great
Basically,
example.
whenever you see anything backwards, that's a setup for something else.
A great example of setup and payoff is the relationship between Halo 2 and Halo 3. Halo 2 is just one great big giant setup, and then Halo 3 is one big giant payoff.
I know what it is. I meant an example in Tenet.
Oh no! I just wanted to say that. I'm not defining what setup and payoff are. I'm just making a sensational statement.
It's things that are backwards. You know that scene in the lab where the lab technician is showing Washington all that stuff that's been flung back in time from the future World War III. I thought we were supposed to pay attention to that stuff, and that was supposed to be like stuff that we would notice later in the movie. This is one of those movies where I was keeping an eye on all the license plates and expecting to like see another license plate flip backwards or something, or maybe like have the credits play in reverse or something like that.
Yeah.
But no, nothing cutesy like that.
Okay, so
if you're expecting that, you're gonna waste your effort.
I think that setup and payoff, there are 3 specific moments. There are the moment where the guy with the little artifact, the little trinket on his jacket, saves him both at the opera house, and then he sees him again at the end, dead on the ground, and then it's revealed that Neil had it, and that Neil goes down and helps him out by opening the door.
Yeah, so if the timeline of the movie were linear, then Neil would have died at that point, and so from there he can only just go backwards in time. So, which makes me think: is he going to keep going backwards?
Mm-hmm.
Can he can he just ignore the fact that he died?
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
From the way Dunn makes it sound, I haven't seen this movie, but from the way Dunn makes it sound, it's almost like it's not necessarily a good or bad movie. It's more like just a phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't necessarily use that word because usually you use phenomenons for like
Well, I mean
things that are like
phenomenon
big
in that it's
cultural
difficult to
headstones.
define. Well, what I mean is it's difficult to measure.
Mhm.
Would that sound right?
Maybe like an aberration / anomaly. Maybe that would work better. Or an aberration or anomaly maybe work better than phenomenon.
Hey, you
Yeah,
make me
because
kind of
Dark
want to see
Knight
it.
was a phenomenon, but
Well, okay, I don't mean, when I say phenomenon, I don't mean, does the word phenomenon have positive connotations to it? I don't think it does.
it tends to.
Like for instance, like Star Wars was a cultural phenomenon. It's often described that way. Same with Game of Thrones when it was.
Yeah, I guess anomaly would be a better word then. I didn't mean a positive connotation. I just meant kind of out there, like it's
Like an-
difficult to measure.
Let's define phenomenon. Just really quick. So
Yeah, let's do that actually.
okay, okay. Oh, okay. Maybe it's just okay. Never mind. So a fact or situation that is observed to exist or happen, especially one whose cause or explanation is uncertain, a remarkable person, thing, or event. The
Yeah, I
book,
kind of I meant it that way. I know sometimes people use certain words in like a cultural way and the definition kind of gets positive and negative connotations to it. I think
yeah,
a good example of that is, I mean, I don't mean to get off topic, but when am I going to talk about this again? I think a good example of that is the word bigotry. People take that as specifically meaning things like racism. That's not actually the definition of that word. That's more like a cultural definition of it. The literal definition of the word bigotry is just to not have low tolerance for the ideas of others. That's the literal definition of it. So maybe we were having something like that there just now, where
mhm,
there's like a little bit of a cultural definition that gets mixed in.
yeah, yeah. There's actually like when I looked it up, it's like there's two definitions. It's either a remarkable thing, place, or event, or it's a thing that is slightly in question.
Mm.
So I guess like there's like you were totally right. I guess like there's just two definitions of the word, kind of like there's multiple definitions of
It's
the
just
word.
kind of funny how that happens, though. Like, it makes you wonder where these secondary definitions come from, you know?
I don't know.
It's just people like misusing words and then the misuse catches on more than the actual use, like literally.
Hmm.
Yeah. People like to use literally to embellish the significance of something, when in reality it means no, you're
That's
actually changing
literally not what
completely
it
what
means.
that means when you say the word literally.
Yep. So okay.
I've gotten in arguments with people where they're like, "You're literally fucking me in the ass right now," and I'm like, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." And that's a true story. I'm not making that up. That's actually happened.
I
I've had
believe it.
family members say to me, quote, "You are literally fucking me in the ass right now." I was like, "No, I'm not." And then I went upstairs.
I literally believe that.
I I am going to clip that and use it as a reaction. I I need to clip that, and I need to go back through this and clip that because that is hilarious. Right.
You got to include Drake laughing in the background. Drake?
Yeah,
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 Drake.
yeah. Okay, on the Amalfi Coast, believing the drawing was destroyed, he she introduces Washington to Sator, only to learn that the drawing is still intact. Oh dear. The three probably because like he's able to move through time somewhat. Um, the three go on a boating trip. She attempts to drown Sattler, but Washington save him. Posing him as a freelancer, he offers to help Sator retrieve a case of plutonium. In Talon, they ambush an armored convoy to steal the plutonium, but it's in fact an artifact. It was the artifact lost in the botched Kiev Opera House siege. His escape is compromised by two vehicles driven by inverted individuals, one of which is Sator, who holds Cat hostage. Protagonist gives Sator the empty case. He retreats, leaving Cat in the speeding vehicle. But after saving her, the protagonist is captured and taken to Sator's warehouse containing another turnstile. After confusing interrogation, an inverted Sator who shoots Cat with an inverted round and a normal one to demand the location of the artifact, about which the protagonist lies. A team of Tenet operatives, led by Ives, arrives and played by I can't remember his name. Aaron Taylor Johnson. He's actually like not bad in the movie. Like he's competent military dude, sergeant type. So the protagonist takes more than one Cat through Sator's turnstile to invert her whole self, neutralizing the effect of the round. He returns to the ambush site chased after Sator. His vehicle is overturned and Sator sets it on fire. He's hit by I'm steaming, and the weird thing about this is even temperature is inverted. So you have like if your hot is cold. So like if you like he gets in the car is on fire and he basically freezes. And he like gets hypothermia. It's kind of a weird setup for a joke, but yeah, I guess so. So his vehicle is overturned. He's saved by Ives' team again. Neil reveals that he is Robert Pattinson, and they travel back in time to Freeport a week earlier, and the protagonist is able to fight his past self before reaching the turnstile and uninverting himself. And that's where it's revealed, oh, okay, Neil saw him when he pulled off his mask and saw, oh, okay, you're cool, go. And then he takes Cat through the turnstile and uninverts both of them so that she gets fine. Priya explains that the artifacts are part of an algorithm capable of catastrophically inverting the entire world.
That really sucks.
Which is kind of like, yeah, that part's weird. Let's kind of talk about that.
What part?
The algorithm capable device, the weird jigsaw puzzle thing.
The giant dumbbell?
Yeah, the giant dumbbell. Yeah.
That's what it looked like to me.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's a giant set of like various different puzzles. It's a 3D dumbbell puzzle. It's a 3D puzzle made of a dumbbell ends.
And it's like you basically screw it together and it all completes into this giant long oblong thing.
And apparently it's capable of inverting time.
I thought the twist for that was that it was going to be made of the plutonium that they wound up retrieving in the movie. And that they were going to make it themselves and we were going to see it from the other side.
Oh, that would be
But no, that didn't actually happen. I was way overthinking it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really strange. Then, currently the Doomsday device is capable of inverting all of time, destroying it, and causing it to implode on itself.
And here's the thing, we never figure out if that was what was actually going to happen. Because when it comes to these paradoxes, the movie resoundingly and repeatedly just shrugged its shoulders and go, probably.
Yeah.
We never actually see it happen or anything even remotely close to it to set up that some bad thing could happen if inverted touch is normal.
And then we have apparently, so people in the future have been trying to get Sator or Cat Brown onto a symbiote. He wants to gather it in all of the parts of the algorithm in one place, which he does, and then like tosses it so that he can get it back. Cat reveals Cat reveals that he's dying of pancreatic cancer and he wants to trigger the algorithm with a dead man switch, believing the world would end with him. She thinks that he's going to kill himself during their vacation in Vietnam, where they were last happy together, which has been set up since the beginning of the middle of the first act, I think.
Yeah. Interestingly, the means by which he tries to kill himself is that suicide pill he wound up taking off Washington at the beginning of the movie. And we know that that's not how that pill works. So I'm thinking he's going to wake up and find himself in a coma and realize that the dead man switch didn't actually go off. So it was all pointless.
Yeah, it kind of was. Yeah.
Unless the guy planned to like grab Kat's gun that she had hidden and then shoot himself, then.
But he doesn't die. He just wakes up like 20 years later, and he's like, "Ooh."
Not 20 years, more like 2 weeks, because that's how it worked for Washington at the beginning. And he's gonna wake up and find, crap.
So after that, Washington, Neil, Cat, and the Tenet forces invert back to the day so the Cat can delay Sator's death while Tenet secures the algorithm. Tenet tracks the algorithm to House 12, located in northern Siberia. They commence a temporal pincer movement. Okay, so a temporal pincer movement is one of the weirder things that is created by this movie, where it's almost like a circle that happens, where you have one end of the circle being one force of troops, and then another person on the opposite end of that, where one person is in the past going forward, going backward, it seems, while the other side is another force going in the present going forward.
Yeah, that was another twist that I called incorrectly. What I called was going to be the twist is that you got the blue team going backwards through time and the red team going forwards through time. I thought what they were going to do is that at some point at the midpoint of this entire operation, red team's all going to take off their bands, put on blue bands, and it turns out the blue team is red team. But that's me overthinking things again.
It's actually a pretty good idea.
That's basically how the pincer movement is supposed to work. The idea is that you experience what you're trying to stop, and then age past it by another 10 minutes, and then you start going backwards again through it, knowing what's going to happen, and then from the other side, now that you know what's going to happen, you can go through it. Except, as the movie points out, that doesn't actually work. It's going to give you like an instinct as to generally what may happen without your intervention, but it's not a guarantee.
There's also like kind of when an inverted, like there's a moment that I think was kind of weird that I kind of defies analysis, where there's a reverse grenade shot or like reverse rocket shot that hits a ruined building that repairs the building.
Yeah, the one rocket shot at the top of the building, one rocket shot at the bottom, but the rocket got sucked out of the bottom of the building, and then forward rocket hit the top.
Mm-hmm.
Or I may be getting it backwards.
Yeah, it's very weird. This whole movie is kind of it's kind of designed to screw with your brain a little bit. Like I had a headache for like 4 hours after watching this movie, because I just like I couldn't figure out I couldn't like totally wrap my brain around it, and even now I'm just like having like trouble like figuring it out.
But it wasn't for anything. It wasn't like trying to figure out what the plot of the movie was. It was trying to figure out what was going on in the set piece, which is really rather pointless considering that all that really matters is getting the mission done.
Uh-huh.
So, like, I see the guy blown through the wall, and then the rubble of the wall starts shaking, but it was an inverted guy, you know, because his blue armband. And then you see him get sucked back through the wall by an inverted explosion.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the big twist at the end, where it turns out Pattinson's character got inside the vault that Washington was trying to get into, and you see him shot dead, and you know it's him because he's got that little red string, which I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, he winds up getting a bullet sucked out of him by the bad guy, and then Washington can finally break through. Or something like that.
Yeah, I'm getting to that. So half of their troops move forward in time to the blast zone, while the other half moves inverted. In Vietnam, Kat finds Sator on his yacht and pretends to be her younger self. In Sask 12, Washington and Ives are prevented from reaching the algorithm by a locked gate. An inverted masked corpse with a red trinket on its backpack springs to life, saves the protagonist from a gunshot, then opens the gate and goes backward. Kat, unable to let Sator die bleeding she succeeded, prematurely kills him just as the protagonist and Ives secure the algorithm. She dives from the yacht, witnessed by her past self, which is interesting because that kind of breaks the usual... maybe that's kind of part of the everything has and will have happened bit. That's possible. Since we see like a shirt and he's not wearing a shirt. So I guess that could work. Then the three guys break up the algorithm's components and part ways. Washington then notices a red trinket on Neil's rucksack. Neil, Robert Pattinson reveals that he was later recruited. He was recruited by Washington years early, and this mission is the end of a long friendship. And then apparently in London, Priya attempts to have Kat assassinated, but is killed by Washington, who has realized that he is the future mastermind behind Tenet. Which is like... Huh? That part was confusing. Where it's just like, okay, so basically you're going to like put yourself through a giant inversion in order to go back to a point way back in time, form Tenet in order to create this time loop where you then are masterminding this whole thing from the beginning and then keep going, knowing that it's going to work, but you set it in motion.
It has me wondering, what's this guy's fate gonna be? Is he gonna wind up going? Actually, here's the scary thought. What if he starts going backwards in time, and as time goes backwards, it goes so far that the machine used to make this time travel happen yet doesn't exist anymore, and so he's just stuck going backwards forever. He is so screwed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's annoying.
I think that's when you reverse blow your brains out.
Yeah, find the if you suck the bullet out of JFK and it goes through your own head.
Yeah.
I guess you blow your brains in.
Well, time going forward for you is just everything else is backwards. So it would look like you sucked your brains in.
Yeah.
Oh man, what would inverted sex look like?
Oh.
You'd have to keep those masks on. Quite literally, because inverted air makes it so that you can't breathe inverted air. It just would make your lungs like collapse in on themselves.
Yeah, but would the kid be inverted or?
Oh, I wasn't even thinking about that. Oh my gosh, an inverted kid penis.
Well, we're talking long term.
Oh gosh, that's a weird thought.
6 years and he didn't think of this. I don't know. It did not look like 6 years worth of work went into this.
Yeah, red. It is red versus blue. Yeah. So, but yeah, this movie is a very strange thing, since I can say that like there are a few things that are just like that are weird about the writing. I don't think it's broken, like something like The Last Jedi or The Rise of Skywalker, where the mechanics of the plot are clearly not made thought through. No, they do not destroy the present. They figure out a way to like separate the algorithm into pieces and then go away. They didn't destroy the present. No. Yeah. They didn't destroy the present. No. This is just a weird like thing to discuss, because it's very much defies analysis in a lot of ways.
Yeah, but it's like that was the goal with which it was written, to defy analysis.
Would you say it defies analysis, or that it merely subverts it?
It makes it difficult.
It inverts your expectations.
Yeah, but it's kind of like we have had such bad movies the past few years.
Yeah, if cinema hadn't sucked total ass up till now, this would have not been regarded as well as it is.
Last year was actually pretty great, though. Like, have you guys seen all the things that came out last year?
What was last year?
Last year there were films like Parasite, The Lighthouse, Marriage Story. It seemed
like it was a good year for indie movies, but like for like a lot of blockbuster movies, it was pretty bad.
Oh yeah, well, I've kind of started to like not care as much about blockbusters anymore, because they've all been like bad lately. So
yeah, like
2019 also gave us Endgame. Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
I don't think Endgame was that bad.
It gets worse every time I see it.
I think one of the problems that kind of we've had is like this is kind of the first like cerebral, like, or at least like trying to be cerebral blockbuster that we've got in a while. I think that right now, like, it's pretty much the only good movie I've seen all year.
For me, it's the only movie I've seen all year.
So by default, I think like I need to see Extraction and The Old Guard, because apparently those are at least like solid action movies.
I just want to see The Lighthouse because I like Willem Dafoe.
The Lighthouse is amazing.
Is it?
It's so good.
Yeah, all my friends are trying to get me to see it because they know I've been saying for years I wish Willem Dafoe would take a lead role in something.
Yeah,
like, just see The Lighthouse, just see it.
Yeah, his performance in that movie is exceptional.
Maybe I'll finally find something of his that I like even more than his character in Beyond Two Souls. Because he plays a tortured scientist in that one, and I really enjoyed that performance.
I
But
think
like, Willem Dafoe is kind of like the new Joe Pesci. It's like he just plays Willem Dafoe.
not in The Lighthouse. He doesn't. It's way different.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, I think that with Tenet, like the ending of Tenet, does I don't think I think that the ending is the weakest point, specifically the last 5 minutes, where it become like this was not set up at all. That apparently Mr. Protagonist was the guy um, behind it all, trying to create a temporal pincer movement.
Yeah, it's like they wanted to do something like that. They should have had had it so that there's some head of Tenet, but they don't know who it is because no one's ever seen them before, or they're very elusive about who it is, and it's a big mystery. This is the mystery box without the cardboard, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
It's an inverted mystery box.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like something, and it's like, we've solved the mystery, and everybody's going, wait, there was a mystery?
Yeah. Which is kind of like, it's just kind of a weird. Um, this movie is weird. I think that's the best description for this movie. This movie is kind of like, um, I think that this movie is like kind of trying to be the Sixth Sense in a way, but with multiple Sixth Sense type moments throughout the movie.
Yeah, further analysis is not going to be kind to this thing.
I don't think so either. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to bear up to multiple rewatches. I might take. Well, I don't know if my little sister would like it, but I'm interested to see it again, see if that holds up. Maybe next Tuesday, since I've got a Cinemark gift card. One second. I need to wait for a second. Please entertain the chat. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I've got two.
Okay. I was just thinking, if you guys want a good movie to watch, there's one on Netflix called I'm Thinking of Ending Things. It's a new Charlie Kaufman movie. It's definitely not for everyone. It's very weird, cerebral, and it's an existential kind of movie. So it's definitely not for everyone, but I really liked that one.
I'm not sure. I never had Netflix and don't plan to get it.
Honestly, I think it's better than a lot of maybe all the streaming services. Like I think it's better than Disney Plus even.
Yeah, but they have a bad habit of getting rid of good
Yeah, they're
shows.
super easy.
That is true. Yeah, got rid of Daredevil.
They
If
got
I
rid of
really
Daredevil?
wanted Netflix, I'll just ask my brother for his Netflix login. So, because he knows I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, they had Daredevil for 3 seasons and then they canceled it.
Yeah, and I
But they're
saw
still
what
showing
they
the
called
first
the
3
Punisher.
seasons, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, because I still have my Daredevil profile picture. They didn't take that away from me.
Yeah,
On Netflix, they let you have the little profile picture.
Yeah, I know. They still have the first 3 seasons on there, but
Why was it canceled?
Because they were moving on to other stuff and didn't want to do any more Marvel Netflix series.
yeah, I don't know. There's some speculation that it's because of Disney that they had to cancel them, but I don't know. I feel like that Netflix just didn't want to pay for more seasons.
Or maybe they saw it was starting to go downhill. I heard season 3 wasn't actually that good.
No, season 3 of Daredevil, that was actually my favorite season of the 3.
Or what was the last season of Daredevil? Was that season 3 or 4?
That was season 3.
Okay, season 3 where they made all those Born Again references.
Yeah. And season 2 was the one out of the 3 that I would say was not as good.
Yeah. Everybody was hyping me up because they know how much I love Punisher and were trying to get me to watch the Punisher series. So I watched it when I went to visit my parents for Christmas, and that just broke my heart.
Yeah, the first 4 episodes of season 2 are really great, but the rest of it was iffy.
It's like the first 4 episodes are yet another example of Ledger Jokering. It's an interesting character idea, it's executed well, but it's not the freaking Punisher. I'm so sick and tired of that happening. If you're gonna adapt something, adapt the thing. Otherwise, just make your own thing. And that's what Punisher should have been. Punishers on Netflix should have been its own thing. They shouldn't have tried to drag Frank Castle into this. But no, they had to because they're all cowards who don't want to actually stake their foot on a new intellectual property. Say what you will about all this crap with Tenet. At least Chris Nolan tried.
Well, if the character writing is perfectly not flawed or anything, I don't see. Because
well, there's flaws and then there's flaws in implementing an adaptation. If you're not going to adapt it faithfully, why are you adapting it at all? It's so that you can capitalize on the name recognition while not having to do your homework or change the story into something that it didn't used to be. And that's really frustrating to me.
I mean, was it that inaccurate? Because I have a
Punisher,
friend,
incredibly.
That's interesting because my friend, who's a huge Punisher fan, really liked his portrayal.
Yeah, I saw a video on it that I thought really encapsulated a lot of my feelings about it, and it basically was saying that what they did wasn't a Punisher story. It was a Wolverine story. And that just to me so completely encapsulated what was going on and just why it felt so off.
Well, it doesn't feel off in the sense of the series itself. Just if you're looking at it from an adaptation point of view. Because at least for me, I don't really care about the comic. I've never read it.
I would concur. I think that one of the things that that I don't necessarily have a problem with, unless the source material is superior, I'm fine with doing something that's of equal merit, but is different to the comic. It's just when it's vastly inferior or as just something that's bad in and of itself that I have problems with it. Artemis Fowl as a movie is bad without reading the book. You don't have to read the book to understand that the Artemis Fowl movie is crack of the highest order. So, final thoughts on Tenet before we get into Mr. Confused Matthew being very confused about a very simple tension thriller movie.
My last thought was I thought it was incredibly ironic that they used the phrase "we live in a twilight world" and cast Robert Pattinson. I wonder if that was a joke on his part.
Maybe it was. No friends at dusk.
Yeah. So. That said, this movie definitely did sell me on the idea of Robert Pattinson actually being a Batman. The question is whether or not he could sell that awful face paint mascara job.
Okay, no, but all of the Batman actors have worn the eyeliner thing. We just haven't seen it with his mask off until now, which is why it seems weird to us to see it like that. But I don't know if there's necessarily anything wrong with like showing it in front, you know. Like,
yeah, well, if it's like a scene of him taking off his cowl and he's got the cowl hair and the eyeliner, that's one thing. If he's just wearing that around